Do you think that this is more of a comfort pick coming out of eLevate? You know, you said that MoGoW went for the Erlang Shen, and then we saw the early Raijin for Nulisa. Do you think that was more comfort, or is that a strategy that they were planning to go against Orbit?
I think that eLevate, in their mind, they really wanted to try and pressure the early game hard, because I think they're probably expecting Funballer to go leaning more towards, as soon as that Freya pick came out, you know that they just want to farm it out. And I think the main issue is that they just let them farm it out. They let them take control like from the get-go, and I really think that that was probably the biggest mistake that eLevate could have made.
So what do you want to see out of eLevate moving forward, Meryl?
Honestly, what I would like to expect is potentially even a curse first item, first relic on Dardez if they're looking for the Freya again. Even potentially, I know Funballer has mentioned Izanami is definitely one of his favorite champions going into this, so it'll be interesting to see if he picks that. But definitely want to get that early aggression out, and definitely want to see WorldEdit be looking to punish Funballer as much as possible, get whatever early lead you can for Jermain, because he's definitely one of the star players for this team outside of WorldEdit.
It seems that eLevate has to kind of just go ham here in this next game, because they had the draft necessary to do so. Obviously, Erlang Shen in the solo lane is very aggressive. Bacchus on her, very aggressive in the dual lane, but it just never seemed that they got anything rolling, and that allowed to play into Orbit's mindset. They're such seasoned veterans that they have all this LAN experience specifically, so nothing's going to really phase them. And if eLevate, I feel like eLevate needs to really get off to a great start and take the risks necessary to get these early first bloods and transition it.
Oh, definitely. Not even if they get first blood, but just able to have a strong early team fight. Just dancing around the gold tier was definitely one of the big favors here. But it looks like we're going to be going into picks and bans for game 2 here.
Game number 2, Orbit this time around is going to have the first pick, first ban for them. We're going to see if they're going to play more of the same style with the early Freya first pick for them, or if they're going to go for a different one.
I wouldn't be surprised if I saw eLevate take that Freya out of Funballer's hands, because I do feel once the Freya started rolling, it really took away any potential that eLevate had in that last set to try and come back. So I think they want to try and eliminate that factor.
I'm looking at WorldEdit specifically, and I'm looking at him to try to make the plays required for his team to really get in position for these objectives, because we didn't really even see a goal here from either side up until like the 12.5-minute mark. They're kind of like flirting and dancing around that little pit, and that could be a little bit testament towards, the first game of the LAN, and the, you don't really want to make the first big mistake, but at the same time, you have to try to make the plays required.
Yeah, I think WorldEdit is going to have a little bit more. Oh, there goes the Yanis ban, actually. That's definitely a target ban to Nulisa, taking away a comfort pick from her. So it'll be interesting to see. I can't tell if they're trying to force her again into that Raijin pick, but I doubt that she'd really want to go into it, considering how much trouble she had in that last game against them.
It definitely didn't seem that Raijin was an issue for Orbit, so banning away Yanis that has more mobility is a more interesting idea behind them. But it's going to be the Kuang first pick for Orbit for QvoFred.
Definitely not a fan of that. If I am eLevate, definitely would have wanted to look to ban it out. I understand Terra and Fafnir, definitely some of these stronger Guardians going into this LAN here, but Kuang always tour de force, 30% health, execute, guaranteed level 5. One of the best snowbally gods in the game, so definitely something to be afraid of, especially on the hands of QvoFred, even, going even with adapting and stuff like that. So definitely not a fan of that.
eLevate now responding with a Sobek and a Raijin, so they feel that the Raijin still had the burst damage necessary. We saw some really high burst kills out of Nulisa in the later stages of the game, especially when QvoFred tried to dive that right side Phoenix. So they're going to rely on Nulisa to try to get that damage off, but they need the setup, so that's why they're going for the Sobek here.
Yeah, again, you can see eLevate trying to really play into this whole early game aggression style, but I'm concerned that Orbit is going to be just controlling the game again from the start, and if that happens, it's going to completely eliminate the whole aggression factor they could have coming out of the Sobek and Raijin. Orbit again coming out with Neith, Chronos, Kuang. That's definitely a late game comp other than the Neith, but I'm really not sure how exactly eLevate's going to respond to this.
When I say Chronos and Neith for Orbit, I think these are their two staple picks for a long time running. The flex pick potential between these two gods specifically, it just allows them to really control like both the dual lane and the mid lane, and you don't really know what they're going to do.
Yeah, definitely the flexibility of Neith especially in Smite is pretty huge. You can even put her in the solo lane if you wanted to, if it's a favorable matchup. So being able to swap positions between Chronos and Neith for the dual lane hunter role as well as mid lane, definitely going to be interesting to see, because honestly, Raijin, fantastic clear. Neith, fantastic early clear as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out if Lawbster's going to be the one playing it.
Also, the World Weaver synergizing with Kuang. You're trying to get somebody closer to that execute threshold. It should definitely help out, especially if there's plans and ideas for Orbits to try to focus out that solo lane. But to wrap bans up for Orbit, it's going to be jungle bans of Hunbats and Ratatoskr, whereas eLevate, they're going for the supports of Ares and Guan Yu.
I wouldn't be surprised to see a Thor coming out for WorldEdit here on Team eLevate. I know that Orbit has definitely chosen to take away like the remainder of his comfort picks with that Batsuzano and Ratatoskr bans. So it kind of does only leave him into that Thor, which also would help with eLevate's draft overall. But again, it's going to be really hard, I think, for eLevate to try and lock down Orbit now that they're rolling with that momentum from last game. And like I said, the whole big concern that I have is just whether or not they're going to be able to play Orbit's game or play their own game.
If it's going to be the Thor, it's going to be a great setup potential for the Raijin, and that's exactly what's going to happen. A good global presence, you're trying to rotate in preparation for that Kuang gank, and sometimes the counter gank is even stronger than the gank itself.
Yeah, the big issue for me as well is that you really can't tell whether that Chronos is going to be going to Lawbster in the mid lane or that Neith going to Funballer in duo lane. I feel like Neith would have a lot higher kill potential for the Thor. He'd definitely be able to camp that lane, and hopefully we'd see that aggression coming out from WorldEdit this game in comparison to what we saw last game where he kind of let Funballer bully Jermain in that duo lane. But if it's a Chronos, he's going to have some issues ganking, I think, if that's going to be Funballer on Chronos, considering that Chronos does have that rewind for his ultimate.
Xing being picked up for Orbit, it's going to limit the damage late game for Rama, and I like that idea and mindset. Wukong, very safe solo laner yet again for Xaliea. And eLevate, they're going to wrap things up with Erlang Shen yet again for MoGoW, more of a comfort pick style.
Definitely looks like they're once again trying to get the favorable matchup, but we should definitely be aware here that Xing also a pretty good counter to Erlang Shen if he does get locked in, and we've seen Sun Wukong being optioned by Trixtank before.
Well, it's going to be eLevate now, seeing if they can respond in game number 2, heading against Orbit.
It's going to be a tall order, Tolly. In all honesty, looking at eLevate versus Orbit. These picks, these bans, it's a little bit rough. Well, it's tough.
It's going to be real tough here. I like what Orbit have gone. We've seen a lot of this kind of Chronos and Neith pickups, where it's kind of the double hunter setups in a sense, right? Chronos, he's basically a hunter at this point. That's going to be going to the dual lane. That is a fun ball god. Neith definitely to the mid here. The one thing I'm a little bit worried about for Orbit's composition is kind of their hard CC. Yeah, they have a root from Neith and a Xing knockup, and then Sun Wukong can kind of knock up, but those are pretty long cooldowns, and you can't really rely on them. Last time they had a Hunbats, right? They had a Ares. They had a lot of lockdown potential. This time, not so much. That's good for eLevate, right? If you have this mobile comp like they have, a lot of options to get out, it's going to be very hard for Orbit to secure kills unless they have that burst potential, like 4 people call one, that person dies.
And that's what I'm expecting. I was a little bit, like I said, there was a lot of trouble, and I just sort of, I didn't really expand on that because my mic sounded like I was in a wind tunnel. But now that I can actually speak, the big difference here for these picks and bans, Kevin, is that Orbit are on every single god that they feel comfortable on. You got now Kuang that's ready to eat people up quite literally. This Orbit composition, they are comfortable, they are ready to fight, and I don't think the crowd control or lack thereof is even going to be an issue. I think when it comes down to it, Orbit's just going to smoke eLevate. They are very powerful. They've got a lot of picks that are going to enable them to be aggressive, and Orbit are going to be very aggressive, specifically out of this left lane.
And, you know, this is something that eLevate needs to realize. Last game, one of the major reasons they lost was really just not doing anything. They had a great composition to set up early ganks, to take smaller engagements, force out that Freya, gank her when she was at your towers. That's what they kind of just let Orbit do whatever they wanted. They got to their point at 16 minutes. They won a big team fight, which is where their team comp excelled at in those mid games, and then they just snowballed to victory. eLevate didn't take a stand at any one point, and it just got way out of control. This time, once again, global pressure in the jungle. WorldEdit cannot gank Xaliea twice, give up, and wait for Orbit to win the game this time. He's got to be proactive.
Where do you think that WorldEdit is on the Thor, and then the Kuang certainly a lot slower? WorldEdit is going to set the pace of this game, or at least has the tools to. He should set the pace of this game and start things off with a bang. Where do you reckon he winds up starting his onslaught?
There's a couple options. It's pretty hard to lock down a Xing, just naturally very tanky, unless you're going to do it right at 5 before he's had time to back. get his boots online and kind of be a little bit safer. So you have that option. It didn't work out last time when he ganked the Vamana, but this time I think he'll have a better opportunity. Gank from the Fire Giant, that's a good option. And then after that, Funballer, right? It's weird facing a Chronos. You almost want to bait them to stay in place or an area for 8 seconds. So if you gank them with Thor and they rewind, because early game you're not going to have the damage to really burst them, make sure he rewinds in place and doesn't position himself back to where he wants to be.
See, I'm looking the other way. I'm looking directly at Lawbster. This Neith is certainly one of the easier characters to gank. Even with the backflip, not very safe at all. You could land on her, force the backflip, and then follow up stun. I think there's a lot of potential for eLevate to really abuse this mid lane.
This was great from Trixtank. Level 2 support, you don't see this rotation almost ever unless it's Trixtank. He didn't even try and secure the mid Harpies. All he did is force WorldEdit and Nulisa off. Those Harpies should have been traded evenly. And now Funball is going to get a little bit of solo farm, but they do have to worry about this rotation from Dardez now. And that was a great wall. This could be trouble for Qvo.
There's a nice flip back, and Qvo stuck in between a bunch of members.
They got to read it.
eLevate.
Oh.
Nice root out of Lawbster, and that's going to stop eLevate from finding the early first blood.
WorldEdit had about a 50% chance. Qvo's either going to the left of that rock or down that rock, and he just chose the wrong option. If he had closed that gap on QvoFred, that might have been a first blood. Ooh.
That quick little dodge coming out of Funball was enough to allow the charge prey to reach it. Jermain gonna miss 2 of the basics, and honestly, that's enough to save the life of Funball.
If I'm Funball, I'm like wiping my forehead that Jermain's not 5, because Jermain's not gonna miss that with the Chronos with no rewind and no boots online just yet.
eLevate off to a little bit of a better start. Honestly, when it comes down to the gold, everything obviously even. But just when it comes to these individual bursts of aggression,
for sure,
eLevate are getting the best of Orbit this early on, which, as the composition is right now, Thor versus the now Kuang, you're kind of to expect that. Ram versus the Chronos plus the Sobek, you're kind of to expect that. So I'm really eager to see how these teams match up in a little while. Add 10 minutes onto the clock, that's when we can get an accurate read.
QvoFred here is on a god that is amazing at level 20, but level 3, level 4, Kuang is very dangerous. While he has a high amount of burst, he is still a mage who has got low defenses, very low base health, and so he needs to be a little bit careful. I want to say he got a little bit lucky with WorldEdit kind of choosing the wrong pathing there. If he had died, that would have been devastating to Orbit if eLevate kept up the pressure. Now I think he's going to be a little bit more aware, and WorldEdit's not going to have the same opportunities. Now, if they're keeping track of purification, 65 seconds. If WorldEdit can hit 5, and he just did, I want to see either a gank or pressure onto Qvo's speed.
Same thing here on the left-hand side as well. Players just
don't
begging
stop
to hit level 10. Dardez in some trouble, especially with that Neith ultimate, and pop goes the Weasel, because the Weasel goes pop. Funball drops down the time stop and puts number 1 on the board.
This is something that you have to be aware of when you play against Neith. That global ultimate, you typically don't see it in dual lane because it's normally being fired from dual lane. And so having that extra global ultimate to get the secured stun, which is really what allowed, obviously, Funballer to get that kill. If you're not paying attention to when Neith has it up and when she's 5, you can't be hyper-aggressive like Jermain and Dardez are used to. That's now 2 mistakes we've seen from this dual lane, who we think need to almost be the stars and go off in this game for eLevate to win. Last time, it was Jermain kind of trying to get the 1v1, didn't expect Qvo. This time, Dardez not paying attention to the Neith ult.
That right there is Dardez. Exactly. Dardez is playing that game with Vulcan in the mid lane. He can make that play with any other mage there. But I say this almost every single time, Kevin. When you're playing against the Neith, you're never at 100% HP. You start the game at 90. You've got to be aware of that.
And getting stunned.
Exactly. And Dardez just no clue.
Right-hand side, Xalia's been able to farm up pretty efficiently. WorldEdit just going to reset here on the right, clear up some waves, share a little bit, and get this buff. Xaliea doesn't want to let this go for free, though. He's relatively safe right now. You can see his team kind of blocking off the options as well. And that wall did force him away, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of the mobility out of the Xing, able just to sort of bounce out, show his face, and then bounce out, no problem.
My favorite thing was the positioning there for Orbit. You saw both Lawbster and, I believe, Trixtank just kind of sitting at the front part of their, like, deep, close to eLevate's tower. And that way, if anyone had rotated to try and gank Xaliea as they was stealing that buff, they would have been able to either A, call it, B, stop it, or C, force a fight on the right with them rotating as well.
Yeah, there's none of the options really available just yet. Trixtank here in the mid lane, looking more for the poke than the actual clear. trying to get Dardez involved.
Level 5, Trixtank has rotated quite a lot, kind of hurt his farm a little bit. Something he's going to have to be aware of considering he hasn't gone any gold gain. No Watchers for him, no Traveler shoes. He's gone straight for the Bluestone into the Guardian boots. He wants to be tanky, but this is going to slow down his build, and he needs to be aware of that. He needs to make sure he's incredibly proactive in splitting farm with other players around him. Because a Wukong that heads into the mid game with only, you know, like one defensive item isn't the typical Wukong we're used to. He gets shredded.
One of the good things is that Dardez is also building the tank boot, so he's not going to go ahead and have the 1-2 punch of the Watchers and the Travelers
that would have
to
been.
walk up to.
You probably would have already seen a 600 gold lead from Dardez, even though he had died.
Here's the first boxing match of the game. A little bit of a back and forth. Funball lands a couple of basics and hits the spell. Jermain at a life differential now. Definitely knowing this player, certainly going to look for a little bit more.
Oh, forced to ult there.
Ooh.
She got real scared, and that was probably a good call. Lawbster had his ult, QvoFred ult as well. Nulisa more than likely would have been put into that execute threshold. Tricks around, just great proactiveness, and that's something I'm really excited to see eLevate pull off, both in Game 1 and Game 2. If they feel like they can get bursted, they've got a lot of respect for Orbit. They're not taking any chances. They're just going to pop their defensive cooldowns and their ultimates if the need be.
Dardez just misses the pluck, which certainly would have been death for Trixtank. Instead, WorldEdit lands a double tap, and it's going to force the ultimate out of the Sun Wukong. A little bit of a shove towards the gold tree, but eLevate really has no plans of going for the early objective.
Not right now. I mean, most of Orbit was on the right-hand side, but they weren't in the best position to force that. They probably could have if MoGoW had teleport up. The thing is, MoGoW doesn't have teleport up. Neither does Xaliea yet for another 6 seconds.
I think that's totally fine. There's too many people too far away, but
they
to commit to the kill. Yeah,
no, that's bad.
Yeah, they're looking for the kill on a Funball. Not going to exist. Dardez very low. Keep in mind, the Neith ultimate already down, but there's the rotation out of Xaliea. Knockup is good for the moment, but the root and the kill. There's one for the short laner, and here comes the rest of Orbit in tow. Damage onto Jermain, and he's done. There's one for Funball as well. 2 in total for the Hunter.
Where's WorldEdit? Did he try and set up a kill on Lawbster? I mean, I'm not saying Dardez would have made it out either way, or Jermain, but he just gave up on both of them, and this has now opened up the opportunity for Orbit to take gold because WorldEdit was not able to make a play in mid lane if that's where he had landed. I wasn't really paying attention. I had just assumed he would have kind of landed on that fight. And once again, eLevate just, they weren't able to make up their mind. They either A, had to pull off and immediately kill Funball, or B, burst the Gold Fury. We saw half doing one, half doing the other, and it just wasn't a cohesive call that they all followed, and because of that, they lost big time.
Yeah, we saw the peel onto Funball, and it was, I think the peel off of the Gold Fury and the attention of Funball was probably the right choice, but it was just executed very poorly. Like you said, WorldEdit just wasn't there. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. Dardez gets smoked by the Neith ultimate, and of course, the perfect wraparound. You got to give credit to Xaliea, and not only the timing, but the location of the teleport. Absolutely perfect to go ahead and stop the exit, and that's what enables Orbit to go ahead and pick up not just the one kill, but the follow-up as well.
It was just really awkward timing from eLevate. Like I said, Xaliea had 6 seconds on his teleport. Now that's a real... Teleport's a long cooldown, and I don't expect eLevate to really have that exactly, but MoGoW's wasn't up for 25 seconds, so there was no hope for their soul laner to be in that fight at all, where there was still the chance for Xaliea, and that just, it just didn't work out for them. QvoFred also now in a great spot. He's got almost a 1K lead over WorldEdit in the jungle. He's got his penetration boots online and the Dynasty Plate Helm. This is where he's going to start hurting, and eLevate almost need to force something before that, excuse me, can't even think of it. Before the next item comes online. The Polynomicon, that's the item he's going to go. The item that just kills everyone. There's a lot of those actually in Smite.
And it's certainly true. You got a Soul Reaver, you got a Polynomicon. Now you got the new Hydras.
Deathbringer as well.
Yep. So certainly a lot of options here. Right-hand side, just showing a little bit of a presence. Left-hand side, WorldEdit. Thinking about making something happen here in the mid lane. But he's going to think, ooh, actually eLevate, trying to start something. A little bit of sneaky play, and then they're going to completely turn it around. Lawbster takes a bunch of poke, but not enough.
Can we highlight over WorldEdit real quick? I think he's leveling Berserker's Barrage. That double tap should have been level 5. Yeah, this is a difference in play style. Left-hand side, though, here it goes. 1v1, Jermain to the sky, hits 2 shots. The Neith ult's on landing right now. Dardez trying to rotate and help, and Jermain doing a great job of juking. Funball gonna rewind, and Dardez here to body block.
What a beautiful play coming out of Funball. QvoFred takes out WorldEdit off screen, and Jermain on screen for the moment and gone. Funball off to a tear. 3 kills already.
If Funball had been poked out a little bit there before, there would have killed. Oh, okay. Oh, I almost thought Dardez was going to turn that around for a 1v1, but not only does it go bad on the left-hand side as Nulisa tries to force something. Ultimate in the sky here. QvoFred caught through the invisibility, but the last shot can't make it. She's turned around on, and she's going to fall. That's going to be 5 kills across the board. Orbit, once again, 10 minutes in, off to a fantastic start.
I think you guys just heard me sort of sigh in my microphone. The ants go marching one by one. Hurrah. Hurrah. Everybody from eLevate, one by one, walks into that fight. They're all licking their chops to see how low all the members of Orbit are, but unfortunately, the defense from Orbit, as soon as one player gets low, you see the rest of the players sort of collapse around and create almost a wall, football style, around their player. Not going to let anything happen. Nulisa tries to almost get it. You see a bunch of other players trying to almost get it. And what do you get? 7 kills on the side of Orbit, 1 kill on the side of eLevate. Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, and eLevate just wasn't able to really seal the deal there.
3K in the lead now, both experience and gold, and this is going to be trouble here. Xaliea going to charge his ult, throw MoGoW into the tower. He's got backup from Kuvo and a Neith ult as well. Great ball from WorldEdit there to distance MoGoW from Orbit, but it's still not enough. MoGoW just has no options to escape there, and it's another pickup and a potential jungle invade on the right-hand side.
Only 3K lead for Orbit right now, so what's
manageable.
It seems very dismal because of how these kills have been coming and how everything has been going. There's another steal going the way of the guys on Orbit, but at the end of the day, eLevate certainly still very much in this, as long as they don't continuously get picked off.
WorldEdit there, popping his ultimate. I don't think Orbit would have win on him, but just once again, that kind of defensive mindset. And this is the issue. It's okay to do that every once in a while, but if everyone on eLevate is burning their ultimates early just to be defensive without getting anything off of it, right? If you get Kuvo's ult, or if you get, you know, Xalia's ult, or the Neith ult, and you burn your ultimate, okay, it's a worthwhile trade. But if you don't get those trade-offs,
from the backside is QvoFred, tosses Nulisa up just to punch her in the head when she comes down. Trouble for Trixtank. There's the WorldEdit going to follow up, but QvoFred in tow. Even if Trix falls here, Kuvo might get aggressive. He's going to be chased out by a Sobek and a Thor, and QvoFred level 13 can certainly handle it.
MoGoW. Ooh, nice pin, but Lawbster quick at the backflip there. And that's the issue. So it's a trade out, definitely positive for Orbit, obviously trading a support for a mid laner, but no gold gain at all for Trix. And you can see how much that's hurting him. He did go into the Watchers, but it wasn't online early enough to get the extra gold. He has, outside of boots, 0 defensive items at 13 minutes. That's how important getting either an early Watchers or Traveler shoes is, because if you can't farm efficiently, and it's very hard to do so as a support without either of those, you fall behind in the defensive items. And Trixtank there, dive in a tower, maybe bit off more than he could chew.
I mean, at the same time, Orbit, this is the luxury that you're given when you're able to really get ahead, right? QvoFred, he's not very tanky, he's having problems. He's still ahead of his opposition, right? 200 gold, and of course the Watcher's gift could certainly help him out in that regard. Wow. So, I mean, that's just the beauty of the lead that Orbit has been able to amass here.
Right-hand side, going to be trouble for MoGoW again. No ultimate and just body blocked in place. QvoFred on a rampage. 5 kills for him. 5-0 and 3 Kuang. This is not what you want to see. And we've been talking a lot about QvoFred today. How most of the people at this LAN have said Kuvo has almost become better than adapting, and he has proven it.
Oh, Jermain's getting spicy. He rolls forward directly into Funball, forces out the ultimate. There's the slowdown. Not going to be taken out just yet. To the skies, and the Sanctuary will be activated. Funball's shield falls down, and now Jermain on the defense as Lawbster makes the rotation. Dardez catches it.
Trix would have went for that here. WorldEdit comes down. Oh, he takes the Neith arrow, and he can't even TP to his hammer. Lawbster finds the 11th for Orbit. And this is disastrous for eLevate. It is almost going to be impossible for them to come back into it. Kuvo does have ult, doesn't want to commit to the tier 2. Or we're going to start focusing on objectives now. They've kind of cleared out the kills they needed to in the early portions of this game.
That right there is a beautiful play. What do you get if QvoFred kills a Sobek there? I mean, this aggression out of the tier 2 tower, Sobek there or not, is pretty much the same. He saves the ultimate knowing that he wants to go ahead and spank someone else. Jermain and Dardez doing a good job of dealing with the assassin. Kuvo's in trouble, and Kuvo goes down. Jermain laughing the whole way home.
VEL, VEL, VEL. QvoFred outplayed, outmastered there. Great job from Dardez and Jermain. Dardez gets the meditation in time, forces the purification. Jermain perfectly purifies the ultimate from Kuvo. Like, Jermain and Dardez could not have played that any more perfectly.
Sure.
And to be fair, because they played it perfectly, there was no chance for Kuvo ever.
Sure, but it's about the bigger picture, Kevin. You don't win the game by massing a bunch of kills. This isn't a first to 15 wins the game. This isn't a first to 31 wins the game. This game is won by taking out structures and taking out towers. QvoFred suffers his first death while the rest of his team takes out a tier 2 tower because the entire defensive force on the left-hand side is dealing with one player. I'm down. That's a positive play from QvoFred in my eyes. Don't care that he died. He got the tower.
Now eLevate gonna have to fight back into this, and I was about to mention it before we kind of went into those crazy fights again, but they've gone into some questionable items. Both Dumore picked up from Nulisa, and Urchin picked up from Dardez. Now, these are fantastic items in their own, but they are incredibly bad when you are behind. If Nulisa either A, can't keep her stacks, or Dardez and his team can't get kills, as good as High to the Urchin is, it's not gold efficient until you have stacks on it. And it's going to be very hard to get those stacks if your team gets this far behind early. I'm really surprised he didn't go into more of like a almost anything else, right? Like a Heartward Amulet against QvoFred.
Literally anything else.
I mean, not anything else, right? You don't want to see him go like some offensive item, but
I'm down with the
Void
Ward.
Stone?
I'm down
Get
with the
some Void
Void Stone.
Stone? Okay.
I'm down with the Void. On a serious note, I do have problems with the Urchin. You only have 3 kills on the board in 16 minutes. That's not exactly a situation that's going to favor that item. On the other hand, with the Doom Orb, I don't mind it. You can stack the Doom Orb. You can stack it by taking out Trixtank as well. Ooh. And there's a beautiful Neith ult to stop Nulisa in her tracks. Trying to find a way out. There she goes. But the ultimate is going to stop her from blinking.
This is a great fight.
Finally gets it. Jermain takes out Kuvo.
1 shot, 2 shots. 3 shots, Lawbster dead. WorldEdit comes up with his second, and now Funballer on the retreat as well. Dardez needs to reposition. Nulisa was forced out of that fight early, and MoGoW's winning a 1v1 against Xaliea. eLevate even down 5k, showing they are not here to give up. Immediately fight back, and once again, going back to Trixtank. Not a lot of gold gain in the early. He's only got a single defensive item online. That's breastplate, not a lot of health. He wanted to dive in deep and set up for his team, but he got bursted way too soon, forced into the ultimate. And then by the time the rest of Orbit piled in, their frontliner was dead. And then just a great combination from eLevate to pick their targets. First on the Lawbster, way too deep without his backflip. Then QvoFred picked off. No illusion online, was in combat so couldn't blink, and they pick up 2 kills. And that was both Orbit overcommitting and eLevate having great target selection, all piling in on the targets they need that were called.
And again, loving the, I don't even know what you want to call it, the gall of eLevate. They showed it in game number 1 where they were down 6,000 gold and they still said, hey, we know we can take this fight. That's what they're doing here. They're going to isolate Funball with a nice pluck out of the support player. Now the rest of eLevate come down to collapse. It's a 4-on-2. It's a 4-on-1. Funball gets blown up. And Nulisa on the good side. That's 1 for the mid lane.
eLevate just faster on their rotations into that fight. Funballer getting picked off. Dardez has Blink, by the way. I'm sure you all saw that. We haven't seen Blink Sobek since Emilzy last season. Yeah. I don't even think he did it this season. We're talking season 2. Blink Sobek just pops, forces a relic from Funballer. Now Funballer had QvoFred rotating in, but those are 2 squishy mages. He thought he could turn it around, wasn't aware of Nulisa and WorldEdit already following up just there before Kuvo.
I mean, if anybody's going to play the Blink Sobek, it's going to be the
Dardez.
Bruise Brother lane, right? These guys are looking for the kills. They're looking for the aggression. Dardez proving that, you know, even if you're down, you got to stick to your own play style. Let's take a look at the graphs real quick, and you can just see there was a huge lead, a couple of picks in the right spot. All of a sudden, what was once a 7,000 gold lead cut short to 3.
Another
That's
pick.
Quick. Down goes Lawbster. That's going to help out as well. eLevate are looking to get rid of everybody on the left-hand side so they get the gold.
Commit to a call. Do the gold 3, force the fight. Orbit not even going to try and answer back.
Tie game, baby.
Pushing forward. Trixtank under half health. Xaliea pinned in place. And Trixtank is close to dead as well. Nulisa in the Taiku drum. Xaliea 1 shot. WorldEdit to the sky is going to be coming back down. Debating on his target right now. There's a couple options, and I think it's going to be on Trix. No. just on the buff. I think if they probably could have set up for that kill, but a Gold Fury, a couple more picks, and eLevate right back into this game, only down less than 1,000 now.
Yeah, this is
300 gold.
Absolute tie game, and if they pressure onto this mid lane tower, they're actually going to take the lead. It certainly looks like eLevate have plans for something else, and it will be the mid lane tower. Funball, the only one playing defense here. QvoFred thinking about it. Instead, just going for the Harpies.
And Funballer's not really going to be able to defend this. It's going to be a nice tier 1 for Jermain as well. And this is a twofold problem for eLevate. First off, their composition. It's great when they can just outplay people, but eLevate, I think, are playing at too high of a level right now for them to just run over. They don't have a lot of CC, so when they're trying to get out, like, they just get chased down and there's nothing to really stop the onslaught. And then on top of that, Trick, Fire Giant again. MoGoW sees it this time. WorldEdit's in the sky too. This could turn around for Orbit, but eLevate not going to commit to a fight. WorldEdit not in the sky there, but just kind of hanging around.
You know, early when we first got into this game, Kevin, I said I wasn't really concerned about the lack of CC for Orbit. I said, look, they're just going to beat eLevate because they're going to beat eLevate. And that was the first 18 minutes of the game. That statement kind of proved fruitful. Here's a blink forward from Xaliea. They're going to kind of collapse on a MoGoW here. But now eLevate has got the chance to catch up. I think now the CC is going to be
Where is the rotations? I don't think eLevate's own team expected MoGoW to juke out as long as he did. WorldEdit finally to the sky. eLevate was hanging around. He comes down on 3. This could be trouble. Forced to purify and pop all his relics. Nulisa now in the corner here. Xaliea is trying to cut off WorldEdit, but a great wall.
Yeah, I think the call there was to let MoGoW die. I think they didn't expect him to live as long as he did.
They almost baited themselves too. WorldEdit finally ulted, but it was so late. He's like, oh wait, you're actually gonna live?
But Jermain here the whole time, just taking out a tower, no problem. He's got to deal with it because Orbit's going to go head down the right-hand side.
WorldEdit needs... he had to push the mid there. That was a free tier 2 in mid. Just give up the one on the right. Let Dardez and Nulisa just play very defensively. You're not going to be able to get back to this tower and defend it in time.
Tier 2 on the left-hand side goes down. Orbit pressing forward on the right. Both towers, Tier 1 and Tier 2, go down as Orbit able to make the pressure. The only one defending the Phoenix is going to be QvoFred. Jermain smells something out, though.
This is bad. eLevate has come back, not off Jermain's play, which you would normally expect. Look, Dardez is, he's opened up so many opportunities and kind of the lack of ability for Trix to be a frontliner with the low amount of health he's built into and defenses. Dardez once again finds one. It's going to be Trixtank, but he's immediately turned on.
And Dardez taking a lot of damage, but so is Trix and everyone else. Trixtank likely to fall. There he goes. MoGoW on the top side. Xaliea also very low. Jermain taking the fight 1-to-1. Nice sanctuary, but he's still in trouble. Gets away, beautiful roll, and down goes the opposition. Jermain clean and clear, beautiful play.
WorldEdit on 3, double tap connects, and he takes out Lawbster as well. He trades his own life, but he's gonna take that 1v1 for now. Orbit still pushing forward here. They might try and pick up MoGoW, but they're just gonna focus on their own buffs. WorldEdit is the craziest person to me. I have never seen someone hold Thor ults as long as he does. And there is great opportunities for him to come down, but he waits for the precise moment. I think while it's helpful in some situations, eLevate aren't running over the team enough where he can kind of hold it, let his team be fine in the fight, and then come down and pick off players who are trying to escape. Instead, he's just coming down either too late and there's no opportunities, or he comes down and he has to risk his life. He did get one there. That's never worth the risk because he is dying 100% of the time. He did trade out, but it was still crazy. WorldEdit's absolutely just crazy in this game. He's just, I don't even know what he's doing.
He was looking for the double kill right there. I think there was potential.
He was like, I'm gonna die, but I'm about to be a star. Take it up to 2-0. I'm gonna take out 2 on my way. I'm gonna do it for the big screen. Channel a little bit of inner Zapman.
A little bit. Certainly is something that he's thinking about right now, but everybody at home is thinking about the fact that this one is tied. In fact, if you want to get ultra technical, eLevate have about a 200 gold lead, which means absolutely nothing, but it's a testament to how much eLevate has really been able to bring this one back.
It was the comeback for me. It's not like they had an even game this whole time. They were down about 5K. Orbit was running over them, and it was just pick after 50%. Pick thanks to Dardez. Xaliea here trying to stop. This has got to be a commit. eLevate need to commit to this.
Here comes Xaliea. He's going to toss in. Down goes the Fire Giant and gets stolen away by Orbit. QvoFred going to steal the life of Nulisa as well. Down goes WorldEdit. It's a Fire Giant and 2 dead. Orbit comes and snatches the victory away from eLevate. Looks like Trixtank in some trouble. MoGoW can't catch up, and the knockup will make him safe. But A very hot steal coming out of Orbit.
And they also get an extra kill as well, or 2 extra kills, excuse me. WorldEdit and Nulisa there falling, and now this is going to be an uncontested Tier 1. Nothing Jermain and Dardez can do to stop it. Tier 2 now being sieged up as well right now by Orbit.
And here they come down the the mid lane looking for the Tier 2. Jermain and Dardez aren't going to be enough to really defend this one. Fire Giant will just help the team take this very matter-of-factly. No real problems here in the mid lane.
This is fine. This late game Fire Giant, because the gold is still even, and honestly, there's no more objectives for Orbit to take, right? If there's a ton of towers, Orbit can gain like a 5-6+ K lead. Now they only have that Tier 2 and a Gold Fury, and this Gold Fury is not even going to be for free.
Orbit's going to defend this. Let's go for the Steel Series listen in as we listen to Orbit dealing with eLevate.
Yeah, go get him.
Okay.
I can't. You just push
Go
me
back,
away.
go back, go back. Go, go, go.
I'll blink to.
No,
Follow.
okay.
Everyone's up though, everyone's up.
Just right. We have so much gold. I get to yeah.
I got shot.
No, I should have blinked closer to them because I
Let's
already
start
hit
it,
the line.
Yeah, we can't back.
We can contest. We can contest. It's fine.
Yeah,
We're
we're
healing now.
regaining right now.
I still
I've
ult.
been
I still
taking
ult. It's fine. It's fine. Still.
10 seconds.
Thor.
Throw. Spread out. Just spread out. I'm for.
Help Xaliea. Dardez. Almost gonna get picked here. Nulisa have nothing. Help me.
Nice job, Fred, nice job. Rama!
He's voted Fred.
Snare.
Help him, just kill him.
He's gonna go on you now. Thingy coming behind you guys.
Nice job. Sobek.
Dardez.
Okay.
Go.
Sobek.
I have to jump
Catch
up in 5. I don't think I can get him down.
Try.
They're just constantly blocking me, man. I can't do anything about it.
Yeah. Go gold.
It's fine.
Here goes.
And we're back with the game. Orbit has had some problems in that fight. You saw eLevate able to answer back just a little bit. But Orbit certainly coming up on the top side, up now 4,000 gold.
Dardez.
Certainly feeling a little bit confident. Not so much for Funball, though. He constantly is getting targeted by Dardez.
Here's the thing about that fight and why it was a win for eLevate overall, though. Even though they lost when it comes to direct player, death versus kills, as Jermain just going to be forced out here. I think he'll be fine. Xaliea does have ult, but the spacing's great. But back to my point there, is that eLevate did that against a Fire Giant team. Not only did they do that against a Fire Giant team, they almost came out even in kills, and they delayed the Gold Fury. Now, Orbit aren't going to be able to siege their Phoenixes with the remaining Fire Giant time. They also forced it off of Kuang and Chronos, probably the 2 players you want Fire Giant off of the most.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, you absolutely need to strip that Chronos. Not only is he going to beat you up in the team fights, but also Chronos is the guy that will just, these tower sieges, these Phoenix sieges, they're just so less important because the Chronos involvement plus a Fire Giant, they melt like butter.
Funball's got to pay a little bit more attention. WorldEdit, there's no wards on here. I wonder if he just knows QvoFred. I almost thought he was going to try and set up a gank there, but just playing safe. I think eLevate are trying to pick anyone who's coming to counter ward. You can see they have the vision control right now with the sentry wards on the right-hand side, and they are going to find QvoFred, at least trying to force the purification, and there it is. Can WorldEdit read this? And he does! Right down on top! The snipes as well. One more shot. QvoFred somehow still alive.
WorldEdit able to find the last hit. There's Funball, can't get out. Double kill for the jungler. Xaliea able to answer back. Finally, double kill for the solo lane as well. It's a 2 for 2, both of them on a single player.
Sprint going to be popped as well, and Jermain outboxing Lawbster, who gets flung back into the team. Jermain has 5 kills. eLevate are winning this fight. Jermain's got to get out. He rolls away quickly, trying to get damage onto Trix. It's a full commit onto Orbit, but Jermain's just healing up too much. Xaliea finally takes him out, and Trixtank thanks his lucky stars as he gets his ult off. The 2 front lines just a little bit too tanky for Jermain to fight into there.
Yeah, just not enough power out of the young hunter. eLevate now with a wonderful fight still.
They
find
baited
themselves down.
Okay. They did bait, but nice little cheeky play there. MoGoW, a little bit red. Good job by Trix, but WorldEdit just complete like you. He just read QvoFred perfectly, knew exactly where he was going to land, read him, killed him. Obviously, it took a little bit longer than I think eLevate had originally intended to, but they come up with the pick. The main issue there is that Xaliea had just a multi-man whirlwind, able to throw 2 players and displace them around, but eLevate, still, they were fighting into a 3-member Fire Giant. FG has just respawned now, and these fights are going every way right now. There's no way to exactly call it. Jermain trying to finish his build before this last engagement happens right now, and Funball's got to fix his positioning too. That's kind of been the biggest mismatch, I want to say, where Jermain has just been going absolutely insane.
Yep.
Funballer getting a little bit out of position, and a lot of it too is Dardez and just like that blink Sobek, which kind of surprises you, but he's got to be more aware.
What's really doing it for me here, Kevin, is eLevate are having they're having amazing fights. They're coming out on top of they're not coming out on top of these fights, and that's the problem. eLevate are going absolutely incredibly ham. They're doing wonderful things, and it's still a 2 for 3 in the favor of Orbit. Orbit somehow slaps everything together, kind of just hodgepodges together a little bit of a win, and all of these tiny 1K here, 1K there, that's what's allowing Orbit to go ahead and surge forward.
Here's the thing though, Jermain's almost full build. This is the star of this team. He's got Deathbringer, Wind Demon online, fully stacked Devourer's Gauntlets, and he's working on a Titan's Bane for his last item. Just wants that extra penetration against those frontliners that we saw him just have so much trouble against finishing off in that last fight.
eLevate actually going to start the Fire
It got
Giant
stolen
here,
last time.
50%. Like you said, last time it did get stolen, and eLevate seemed to remember that. They're going to walk away just a little bit.
They need to make a full call. Like, this is the issues we've seen with them. They haven't been able to make up their mind on objectives. When Orbit wants to contest, they kind of just stutter step. Maybe not everyone, but a couple players will stutter step. They don't know if they're supposed to full commit to the Fire Giant in a couple people's zone, or if they're supposed to bait the fight and try and kill Xaliea when he walks in to steal that. There's no cohesive call, and even if there is, they're not following it.
You know what? I'm certainly very curious about that. I'm certainly very curious about how eLevate's thinking about it. Obviously, I'm thinking about a listen in. We're going to wait to see when it gets a little bit more active. But in all seriousness, I want to see how eLevate are actually going to plan this out. In fact, why don't we go to it now? The Steel Series listen in eLevate as they plan their Fire Giant and the fight against Orbit.
It's up. Yeah, cool. Oh my god. I died. Just reset. I died. Just reset.
Oh my god!
Just reset.
Get out.
Wait. Oh my god. Fuck.
Okay.
So I was questioning why they weren't able to follow their calls cohesively, and I realized it's because there are no calls.
Oh my god.
That was just yelling. I didn't hear a single target that entire time. And that is amazing to me that eLevate can play at this high of a level without having any knowledge of what everyone is doing.
To be fair, though, I don't think that was representative of them in general, because I don't know if I would have made, I don't know if any other team would have made a different play. You heard Dardez, to be completely fair to eLevate, you hear Dardez early on say, fire, 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 and that's the full commit call. But then all you hear after that is, oh my god, a cacophony of oh my gods from all of the players, because Lawbster gets a double kill here, QvoFred gets the kill on the right-hand side, and that's going to be trouble. So shout-outs to everybody else that's been giving it a shot. Orbit trying to figure things out. They've got the 2-0 above eLevate. That, of course, is going to give them 3 points in the way that they're working out.
Shout-outs to Xaliea there. That, I would have guaranteed almost an eLevate win off of Dardez's play and Jermain's late-game prowess. But not only this first stolen Fire Giant, but that second engagement there, we were listening to the comms and kind of the oh my gods. But what we did see on screen was Xaliea, Whirlwind, 2 players in the pools that Fire Giant created. He hurt himself along the way, but he immediately forced out kind of the big talking points. Mostly Jermain there was out of the picture, while the rest of Orbit was able to clean up.
You asked me a question earlier, Kevin. You said, hey, would you rather fight against the harder teams or the easier teams? We looked at the way eLevate played game number 2. If that's the way eLevate can deal with Orbit, I'm very curious to see how well they can do against some of the lower-seeded teams. I think eLevate will have a very successful rest of the tournament. For now, though, we'll deal with this single one. 2 games down. We'll talk to Taco, Merle, and Toli, and they'll break it down for us.
Thank you, F-Dot. A very impressive play out of eLevate this second game, I would say. A lot of crazier plays, specifically out of QvoFred from Orbit, but they managed to bring it back, specifically out of eLevate.
Yeah, one of the things that I really liked is we said that we wanted to see them step up, especially on the side of the dual lane, and they had a rough start. They really did. Kuvo ended up going 5-0 for a while until he dropped his first death at the tier 2 tower, but the kill credit for that went to Dardez and Jermain, those main star players, and I think that really helped them find their footing again, especially considering like none of these players have LAN experience. They're really looking to get their bearings in Game 1. Looks like they did. They were able to find some nice wins, but unfortunately it just didn't pan out for them.
They were definitely more confident heading into their first Fire Giant attempt. They tried to sneak it early on, and I think Jingle Bang coming out of Trixtank that managed to steal it at the very last second, but that just goes to show the confidence boost in that second game for eLevate. They were able to really make the plays necessary, or at least try to make the plays to get the team in a winning position.
Yeah, I think eLevate actually did an excellent job bouncing back considering how rough that early was. And you can see here, just with this Fire Giant steal, they still never gave up even after that went in Orbit's favor, which, you know, could be a huge demoralizing factor for them considering that early on, Orbit was again setting the pacing for that game. There was a 4-for-1 pretty early on at 10 minutes, and that was pretty tragic for eLevate. But the fact is, they seemed pretty relentless even after that. They were still playing aggressively into Orbit even after Orbit had that FG. You could see how they played into them at the Gold Fury. Had a pretty even trade and kept them off the Phoenixes at least for a few minutes, which I think really helped deter the end of that game, but it was still pretty unfortunate how that ended up panning out for them.
Yeah, it seemed that they had the better late game composition, specifically for Orbit. Funballer didn't have the best performance on Chronos compared to the Freya that he did the first game around. Why is that, you think?
He just seemed to be a lot less confident in that Freya in comparison to how he was in that first game. He wasn't playing nearly as aggressive with the Chronos, other than when he was trying to bait out the plays coming from QvoFred. But for the most part, I'd say that he just seemed like he was, I don't want to say lost, but he definitely didn't seem like he felt comfortable on it.
Well, definitely a lot more action this second game compared to last game. A lot of kills on the board for both teams. The last game specifically, I think we only saw less than 15 kills in total between the two. So now heading into the next set, it's going to be eLevate versus Dignitas. And the mindset right now for eLevate, despite losing that second game, I still think they're going to go, you know, they're going to take something positive overall from this.
Yeah, I definitely feel that when it comes to this first set, it's definitely just getting your bearings down. You want to be able to focus, figure out what's wrong with LAN, and then work on improving it over time. And I definitely think going into the dig matches, they're going to have a little bit better of a time.
Well, Orbit and Trixtank are having a good time, and we're going to listen to F-Dot and what he has to ask about Trixtank.
Thanks a lot, Tolly, standing here with the man, Trixtank. Usually you have the microphone, but now you're a caster now. How's it going, bud?
Almost. It feels weird with the headset on and everything.
A little bit, but I mean, you guys certainly just won 2 games in a row wearing a headset, so no problem there. Talk to me about eLevate. These guys are a new opposition for you. Obviously, you played them during the regular season, but it's on LAN, and things change a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of experience on LAN now, and they don't, and I don't know, it's like they don't have too much experience on LAN so far, but I'm really impressed of their performance. We actually thought it would be a little bit easier and a little bit cleaner, but they played really good, and that just gives us an eye opener now that we can't underestimate any team here. And so we're definitely gonna go after this game and talk about it.
Speaking about that, it's about underestimating teams or rather lack thereof. Everybody here, not just the casters and the analysts, but also the players and everybody backstage, everybody seems to agree that you guys look a lot more focused than in the past. You guys have clearly set your sights on Worlds or better. Talk to me about where Orbit is right now and what the future of the team looks like.
I mean, our team is really motivated. We want to go all the way. After the big upset at Worlds last year, that felt really bad, and I think that feeling we don't want to feel again, and which pretty much gave us the power, you know, to be motivated and focused and just looking one way, and that's to Worlds.
You certainly pulled out a lot of the stops. People have been talking about how QvoFred has just been the #1 jungle here. We saw a little bit of the video, the players talking about it as well. How does what's different about Qvo, and how have you guys really rallied behind him to find these wins?
I'm not sure what's different about Qvo. So I also said it at the Epsilon LAN. He just seems more motivated, and when he's motivated, he plays a lot. And when he plays a lot, he's gonna play good. And that's what we see from Fred now. And it's amazing that he just keeps the good plays up. And yeah, he's a good man.
Certainly working out right now. We saw 2 very different gods and 2 very different wins come out from you guys. Is there anything you'd like to say to the fans at home before we let you go?
Thank you for watching. I hope all the fans that we had back in Paradigm is still gonna support us in Orbit, and yeah, thanks for the support.
Awesome, thanks a lot. That's Trixtank, the support coming out of Orbit. They just won 2 games above eLevate. We'll take it on a little bit later. We've got a couple more matches coming to you. Stay tuned to hi-rez TV.